Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
This episode is brought to you by Prime. What if you had one more chance with the one that got away?
Sam, you came home.
Based on the best-selling novel from Carly Fortune. Every year after follows childhood friends Sam and Percy as they reunite in the dreamy, nostalgic lakeside town of Barry's Bay.
Love can be hard to find. So if you're lucky enough to find that person, never let go.
A second chance at first love. Every year after, now streaming only on Prime.
You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. I'm Teacup.
And I'm She-Cup, and we are so excited to bring you this podcast dedicated to unraveling all the mysteries woven in to the Assassin's Creed universe.
Each episode will be diving into a different lore discussion, from Pieces of Eden, solar flares, and the Isu to the Hidden Ones, the Order of Ancients, and of course, the Animus. We will seek to uncover it all.
So step into the Animus, join us in the shadows, and maybe even take a leap of faith. Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Shelby. You also know me as She-Cup, and we're back with another episode. But first, before we get into it, I'm joined by my co-host.
Hey, I am Austin or Teacup.
That you are. And as the lore master, Teacup, why don't you tell us where we're going today?
Well, today we are back to our Assassin or Templar series, and today we are headed to the 18th century into Europe. That's the 1700s for anyone who was curious. And we are headed to revolutionary France, which is probably a pretty dark time in French history.
A very bloody time.
Yes. Depending on, did you know there are multiple French revolutions?
I did know that. I think we really only know, I only know any details about the big one.
Yes. So I was doing some research and I thought it was really interesting. We know snippets from all of them.
Okay.
So like Napoleon and his revolution is one revolution. The Robespierre series is another revolution. The abolishment of the monarchy is also a different, like, that's part of Robespierre's revolution, but like the revolution that like Lafayette leads that creates a constitutional monarchy is a separate revolution.
Okay. So let me revise my previous statement. I think rather than, I just know a few details about one of them, I think rather I know a few points about all of them that have just blended into one thing. And pop culture, in my mind, just the general like knowledge we all have as Americans.
Right. And so I do want to set up kind of like a historical context in here. So the American Revolution ends in the 1780s-ish. And then by 1789, we draft our Constitution that would establish basically still the governing document of the United States of America to this day. And yes, it has been amended a lot, but largely that document remains mostly unchanged outside of the amendments.
Like even to this day.
Yes, even to this day. I mean, we have 28-ish, 20-something amendments in 200 years, which is about an amendment every 10-ish years, right? Yeah.
Are you talking about in France or in the United States?
In the United States.
Okay, I guess I'm just confused now.
Oh, I was just talking about, this is the context. Sorry. The context of the United States does this revolution. France helps us in that revolution and really is one of the key reasons why we are able to beat the British back. Because once the French get involved, Britain's like, we can't afford a war with the colonies and with France at the same time. We're not going to have a repeat of the 7 Years' War that takes place of us fighting France at home and France over in the colonies.
Right.
And so there are many contributing factors to the British's defeat in the Revolutionary War, but France joining the revolution is a big one part of them.
Right, sure.
As much as I hate on the French, I do want to give credit where credit is due, and that is one where it is due. So then Lafayette asked Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin basically to come over to France to help him create a similar revolution and revision, really, in France. Thomas Jefferson basically helps Lafayette draft a declaration, and then has to peace out because he's Secretary of State, and Hamilton is starting to enact his financial plan, and the Southern delegates and Southern legislators are like, Thomas, you have to get back here because
you have things that you need to do at home. You have responsibilities.
Exactly. And so like it's kind of like Thomas Jefferson hands Lafayette and the French a pamphlet on revolution and then pieces out. And then we're left with what establishes as the French Revolution, which proves almost unilaterally and unequivocally that you can't copy and paste the experience of the American Revolution into any context or any country.
Right, absolutely. Well, and I mean, the truth is that what works for one country may not work for another country, and because every single place is different. Like, you can't copy and paste anything.
Exactly. And it is the reason I was sharing about the Constitution still largely being unchanged and the governing document for our country to this day is that European countries are not as elastic as ours is. Meaning they are not designed to be amended in a lot of ways. They are basically now, but they weren't previously.
Okay.
And basically a new king could come in or a new monarch could come in and do whatever they want.
Right, and they could have just said, all right, this is what we're doing now. Get with the program.
Right, and so this is the understanding of life that they have as opposed to the colonies who, other than some taxes and stuff, lived a pretty monarch and nobility free life.
Yeah.
And so you can't undo a system like that in Europe. And that's why France they're on their 5th republic, I believe. Because every time that they need a major change in their system, they have to start over.
Well, and not only that they have to start over, it's kind of like they choose to start over. Like France very much has this like persona of, yeah, we burn everything down. We will burn down our government if we don't get what we want. You want to take a vacation day away from us? We're going to burn down Parliament. So they kind of have this like, we will riot if we don't get what we want ideology. And so, yeah, you have to rebuild your country every time the entire place riots.
Right. And I personally think that French politicians could survive in our political climate, but our politicians could never survive in French politics.
Oh, 100%. Like 1,000%. American politicians are way too comfortable in their status quo.
Very, very true. Very, very true. I mean, I do think that even though it's been several hundred years, the memory of the guillotine is still pretty fresh in the French collective memory.
Fair.
But anyway, back to our episode. We're talking about Marie Antoinette, who is the wife and queen consort of Louis XVI, who is arguably the last king and queen of France.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, Napoleon is an emperor and like a universal force, but like this is the last of like a long-standing nobility. Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette are the last reigning monarchs of France. And so, obviously, they rule they come to power in 1774, and they come into the monarchy is abolished in 1792. Now, this is a big point because one of the points that opponents of aiding the French in their revolution say is that they made a treaty with King Louis, and King Louis is now dead. So their treaty is now null and void.
Okay, yeah.
That's just an important. So Marie Antoinette was the 15th child and youngest daughter of Emperor Francis I and Empress Maria Theresa of the Holy Roman Empire. Yes, the Holy Roman Empire is still around. Which, you know, you really think about sometimes of like, you think about the Roman Empire ends like so much earlier in this, and then the Holy Roman Empire lasts so long.
Yeah.
Which is its like ancestral thing. So by right of her birth, she was the Austrian Archduchess of the House of Habsburg-Lorraine. And so she is Austrian nobility. And this kind of starts a trend across Western Europe in the sense of, I know Austria can sometimes be considered part of Western Europe, but of Austrian nobility having a lot of influence in these very Western monarchies: England, France, Germany, Spain.
Yeah, well, it's like the Austrian German royalty. They just like basically are trying. I mean, I don't know if it's intentional, but like they basically intermarry into literally every single other royal house. I mean, the House of Windsor even today is like mostly German.
Yes, very much so. And like in World War II, obviously, the House of Windsor very much downplayed their German ancestry.
Well, they changed their name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's important here. It's kind of like if you listen to our Dragon Age Lorecast, the Valmonts and Austrian nobility are very similar.
Yeah.
In just kind of getting all over there. So she marries Louis XVI at the age of 14. Which I know some of you might seem as young, but seems probably on par for most nobility at this time.
Were they actually married when she was that young, or was it just like she was promised and then they like didn't actually like live together and be married until
she was
later?
Married at 14.
And how old was he? Do we know?
I would have to look that up because I was only really focused on her.
No, that's fine. I was just curious what the age gap is.
And so it's a couple years at least. So she is near 18 when Louis XV dies.
Okay.
And so that's when she becomes, and then she ascends and becomes queen consort of France.
So I did look it up. He's only like a year older than her.
Right. So they are young. And it's not that weird. Like, it's not a weird age gap. It's just you're married young.
Also, another thing I just learned by looking things up. Allegedly, they did not consummate their marriage for 7 years after they were married.
Interesting, because almost immediately after ascending the throne, she is accused of being promiscuous, having illegitimate children, harboring sympathies for France's perceived enemies, especially her native country of Austria. So even though supposedly they didn't consummate their marriage, she is accused then of having children outside this marriage and of basically being a whore.
Well, you have to wonder. It sounds to me like he suffered from some kind of like disease where he could not physically do it. And so it sounds to me like projection.
Yeah, it is possible because they just, with all the inbreeding, they had so many diseases.
Mm-hmm.
But she was falsely accused of defrauding the crown jewels. While the accusations were found out to be false, this completely damages her reputation. And during the French Revolution period, she became known as Madame Deficit, which basically Madame Deficit. Because of basically the financial crisis, and was basically her lavish spending, and she opposed social and financial reforms. And so it is important to note here that France spends a lot of money to help us with our revolution. England almost immediately opens back up trade with us after we establish ourselves as a country, because both countries just need each other. We wouldn't survive if we didn't open up trade. England does not open up trade with France.
It's interesting because you think it would be the opposite.
Right. I think it is just a point of popularity for King George is on really, really low at this point, and the revolution and going to war is not as popular an idea as some of like our history lessons would have us believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so there just were a lot of people who were over the conflict and just ready to move on and be like, okay, we've figured this out. Let's go back. Let's trade. Like, we don't hold any ill will. Like, there's just so much like shared ancestry and sense of like brotherhood between England and the former colonies that are now the United States that I'm not surprised this is the case.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So again, like, France is suffering hugely in economic crisis at this point. So she is also married to Louis XVI in an effort, basically, and as most noble women of this time were married in this case, to booster political relations between the Holy Roman Empire and France, basically to bolster their defenses against the rising powers of Britain and Prussia at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though Britain lost the colonies, they still are a major world superpower at this point.
Well, and I mean, I think they continue to be. Like,
yes.
There's a reason why the phrase is the sun never sets on the British Empire.
Mm-hmm. So she's married by proxy, too, meaning she wasn't present for her actual wedding, and her brother stood in her place for the marriage. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Shelby. I thought this thing was made up for something that the Last Kingdom did.
Why did you think that?
I don't know. I didn't think this was a real thing. But apparently it is a real thing that they did, which makes sense because why does the woman have to be present for an agreement but basically between her father and who she's marrying father?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I have some things I could say, but I won't get into it.
Right. So this is probably what you know Marie Antoinette the most for, which is a common phrase. And Shelby, I'm sure you know it. What is the common phrase that is often attributed to Marie Antoinette?
Everyone knows that it's let them eat cake.
Yes, exactly. So this is attributed because she's blamed for what's called the Flour War, which is a series of riots over the cost of flour and bread. And the adage is that these peasants are complaining that they don't have any bread to eat, and this out-of-touch princess, is what the story says, says, "Well, let them eat cake," as a thing of like, "Oh, they don't have bread; they can just eat cake."
I have heard though that she didn't actually say it.
That is true. The French phrase is often attributed to her, but there is no historical evidence that she actually uttered it, and this is likely propaganda post-revolution because it's not attributed to her until about a century after her death.
Interesting. Okay.
But I will say that it's believable for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I'm not going to sit here and defend her when, like, you know. I mean, on one level, it's like, you know, we're talking about a teenager, a young woman. And then on the other hand, it's like, well, yeah, but you also were filthy rich when your subjects had nothing and were starving.
And I will get to this later. I don't think she's stupid. And I don't think that she is uncaring. I think she is the daughter of an empress and so far up the sense of nobility that she's completely out of touch with anything that happens in the real world.
Right.
I mean, when you're the 15th daughter of an emperor, how much exposure to the real world do you actually get?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I also think when you're the 15th of anyone's children, it's very easy to be just like forgotten and left alone. And so like she probably didn't have a lot of actual mentors in life, like saying, hey, this is how you lead a country. This is how you do this. This is how you do that.
Yes, exactly. And like most of the time, like you're saying here, like she's not expected really to be married to a king. Like a king as powerful as the King of France. Like this is kind of out of the norm to be this kind of like, I guess she is the direct daughter of an emperor. And so in theory, if everyone should die, her child could become both King of France and Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire.
That's a lot of people who have to die.
Yes.
If she's the 15th.
But it is theoretically possible.
Right. All right, well, let's keep it moving.
So really her only real achievement is she opens up a door briefly for revolutionary discussion with Lafayette and a person called, and please forgive me, Honoré Gabriel Riquetti Comte de Mirabeau, who is the most important lawmaker of the Assembly. And spoiler for the second half of the episode, mentor of the French Brotherhood.
Okay. Have we discussed... We've discussed Lafayette on one of these, right?
No. We have talked about him briefly because he plays a role in Connor's story, but that was about it.
Okay.
Yes. But we know that Lafayette is a supporter of the assassins.
Right.
If not an assassin himself. So she opens secret negotiations with Mirabeau and Lafayette, and they agree to meet privately at the Chateau de Saint Cloud on the 3rd of July, where the royal family was allowed to spend their summer free of radical elements who watched their every move in Paris. I seriously doubt that they were not unwatched, or they were unwatched in this area. At the meeting, Mirabeau was most impressed by the Queen and remarked in a letter to the Comte de la Marque that she was the only person the king had by him, basically stating that she is the only ally that Louis XVI has. So the revolution basically progresses at this point. It becomes clear that despite many attempts at peace, the revolution and the monarchy cannot coexist. So basically after this, eventually charged with treason against the French Republic, Louis XVI was separated from his family and tried in December. He was found guilty by the convention, and on January 15th, 1793, by a majority of 6 votes, he was condemned to death by guillotine and executed on January 21st, 1793.
6 votes is crazy.
Yes, it was not a popular decision. or I guess it was probably a popular decision with the people, maybe, but it was not something that the members of the assembly, who arguably at this point are mainly nobility and mainly like people of importance.
Mm-hmm.
So like military professionals, huge people in like merchant guilds and stuff like that. This is not like, you know, Joe Schmo from the random town, 40 miles outside of Paris is not at this assembly.
Sure. Absolutely. It is people that are wealthy. It
Yes.
is people that arguably are in the same or a similar social status as the king himself.
Yes, exactly. And so I think there are revolutionaries like Robespierre, who is present for this, who are a little bloodthirsty and want him to die. And then there's kind of these cautionary men like Mirabeau and Lafayette who are more like, well, no, we don't need to resort into chaos. Which ultimately, this execution is what is the final nail in the coffin for George Washington to basically say, no, you don't have our support. Because he is basically like, we can't get involved in every revolution in the world. And you're not having democracy. You're having a riot. You have anarchy. And we're not going to support you in anarchy.
I mean, to be fair, they do vote on it. So it's not like they're just, mobbing the castle or the palace or anything. But yeah, anyway, let's move on.
Yes. So after his execution, Marie Antoinette's fate became a central question of the National Convention. While some advocate for her death, others proposed exchanging her for French prisoners of war or for a ransom to the Holy Roman Emperor. Ultimately, she is tried by the Revolutionary Tribunal on October the 14th, 1793. Basically, some historians believe this is a sham and that this trial was decided before it ever even took place. She and her lawyers were given less than 1 day to prepare her defense. Among the accusations that were published were orchestrating orgies in Versailles, sending millions of basically the French currency of the treasury money to Austria, planning to massacre the National Guards in 1792, and declaring her son to be the new king of France, and ultimately the last charge being incest. This last charge was levied by her son, and this is the only accusation that actually draws an emotional response from her in the trial, and she refused to respond to this charge. Instead, she appeals to all the mothers present in the room. And that's really the end of it. And so on October 16th, Marie Antoinette was declared guilty of 3 main charges: depletion of the national treasury, conspiracy against the internal and external security of the state, and high treason because of her intelligence activities in the interests of the enemy. Any of these charges alone were enough to condemn her to death. So she is not charged of incest.
No, she's not found guilty.
She's not found guilty of it. And she's executed by beheading by guillotine at 12:15 p.m. on October the 16th. So she's declared guilty that morning and dead by lunchtime.
It's so interesting to me that there's, this gap of a few days with Louis, but with her, it's like immediately, oh no, we've got to kill her now. It kind of really shows, I mean, we've discussed this already at the top of the episode about how from the get-go, she has this air of mystique around her. People come up with this crazy gossip and court rumors. So it really shows you how much almost that the French, people talked about her and her reputation.
Yes, I very much so. I also think it shows how much the revolution degrades in such a short time, because in the beginning of this year, in January of the same year, Louis the 16th is executed, and there is 6 days between his conviction and execution. In Marie Antoinette, which is just really 7 months later for October, or no, 9 months later, because October is the 10th month. she is sentenced and executed on the same day.
Yeah.
And I think this has to do with the increase of executions, that they have to move quicker, and just the overall degradation of the French Revolution. But yeah, any thoughts of her historical overview? Anything you want to add before we head to our mid-break?
I think really the only thing I have to say is, like, clearly she is that bitch. I mean, you know, obviously, like, the peasants hated her. She is this symbol. But it's so interesting to me that, like, both the nobility, the wealthy, and the peasants, the poor people, like, she is the subject of, like, their ire and their fascination. And it just really goes to show that, like, there was just something about her that was intriguing to people.
Yes. And I think it is, like, her, like, the fact that she's foreign, the fact that she's young, the fact that she is very much, like, a symbol of everything the French people hate about the nobility at this point.
Sure.
Which I'm giving a lot of crap, but I don't think a lot of that is not her fault.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when that kind of wealth is all you've ever known, and then you go into a situation where, like, the nobility is a little bit more tenuous. I don't think anybody told her that, you know? And
why would they tell her that?
Right, exactly. There's no reason that she would, like, understand or be briefed on all the politics. Like, I'm sure she was kept in the dark, so she's just doing what she knows and is gonna get killed for it, you know? So on some level, I feel for her, and then on another level, I'm like, I don't, because, you know, people suffered. So anyway, let's go to the mid-break.
All right, let's do it.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
This episode is brought to you by Tidy Cats, here to level up your litter game with their new Performance Plus lineup. Your home is your happy place. Your cats, VIPs. So when it comes to the litter box, excellence isn't optional. Choose from products that specialize in max power clumping, low tracking, or odor fighting so advanced, stink won't see it coming. Tidy Cats Performance Plus. Mission mighty, keep it tidy. Shop now at tidycats.com.
At Ollie, we've got wellness down to a science. From PMS to pregnancy to menopause, our women's wellness line offers science-backed support for every stage. No judgment, no shame, none of the stigma. Just supplements designed to meet you wherever you're at. Ollie, choose science over shame. Find support at a retailer near you or on ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
You look like the one thing in the world that Kiviadis wouldn't take to bed. Can you even see out of that thing?
Mock all you want. When those Malakas and Zakros see this beast charging towards them, they will know fear!
Let's start light. Tell me a joke.
Why must samurai always battle one another? Because there is only one way for a samurai to get ahead. Ahead. I did not say it was a good joke.
Makose! Shoot! Shoot a flying demon!
All right, welcome to the middle of the show. This is where we take time to talk about all the things that have to do with the lore cast and not the lore of Assassin's Creed. So the first thing that I have to do is shout out all of our amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your financial support. The show could not continue without you. So thank you so much. If you would like to join the Patreon, you can get amazing benefits for as low as $5 a month. And you can join at patreon.com/ACLorecast. The next best way to support us, however, is to leave us a rating, a review, wherever you listen to the show. If you leave us something, 5 stars, kind words, we will read it out on a future episode of the show. And this one comes from Taryn, who commented, "I love this podcast to listen to at work. I'm super sad now that I've gone through all the older episodes that I have to wait weekly. You guys are amazing, and thank you for making work go by so fast. And thank you, Taryn, for listening to the show. We greatly appreciate it. The last thing I have to shout out is the Discord server. It's the best place on the internet, as we always say, and you can find the link in the episode description to join and come hang out with us on Discord. And with that, Austin, I think we can get back into it.
All right.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
No, you're right. Let's all just screw around while the world falls to pieces.
Hey, this isn't easy, you know.
Right, like we're all on vacation out here? Enough! Look, everyone's under a lot of pressure, but we're the only ones who can stop Abstergo, so we need to keep it together.
She's right. We need to be a hive mind, people.
Anybody up for some reconciliatory yoga? Anyone?
Very funny, guys.
You have my thanks.
Keep the sword, Ezio.
Do I know you from somewhere?
Don't you recognize me? It's me, Mario!
Uncle Mario?
It's been too long, Nipote. Far too long.
Malaka.
All right, so that was the historical overview, and as always, that was very, very brief. There's a lot more that happens to her, and they're just, as queen, she doesn't really make a lot of political decisions for us to talk about. It's just really public perception and then her getting executed. But she does have some Assassin's Creed involvement, so we're going to get right into that. And so she appears in Assassin's Creed Unity, which makes sense because that takes place during the French Revolution. After she is convicted and imprisoned, the assassins do attempt to help her escape. And it's important to note that the French Brotherhood is allies with the French monarchy. And so they basically come up with this carnation plot, which is basically that they hide messages in the carnations that are pinned on people's lapels. And so there is a message that is pinned there. However, one of the allies that was supposed to deliver the message to the assassins is actually a Templar. And so that is what leads to her execution. So per lore, she's at least an assassin ally. It's also to note that Lafayette and Mirabeau are both assassin allies. Mirabeau being an assassin in the lore, and with Mirabeau being the mentor of the French Brotherhood.
So Lafayette is an assassin, and Mirabeau is the mentor of the Brotherhood.
Yes,
okay.
Or at least I can't find the confirmation, but I remember finding out that he was a member of the Assassins.
Lafayette.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a lot of after kind of playing 3 a little bit, I realized that there's a lot that Connor does that is actually kind of more of the role of Hercules Mulligan and Alexander Hamilton and all of these other people. Connor does the feats that are combined of all of those people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's very behind the scenes of the revolution.
Yes.
Like Hamilton was.
Yes. And so no, he's not the general out leading everything, but I love that line from Connor. This is off topic, where he goes to Washington. He's like, "Enjoy your victory, Commander. It's the last one I deliver you." Great line when he walks away. And so, but anyway, with that, I think Lafayette is technically, at most, he's an assassin. At the very least, he's an assassin ally, if not an assassin himself.
Sure.
But getting this assassin or Templar, in my opinion, this is my exact quote, and I'm going to read it. "I personally think the real Marie Antoinette is too far up her own noble ass to care about the assassins or Templars."
Yeah. Do you want to expand on that a little bit, or is that all you have to say?
I mean, that's just really what I'm at. I just think that and again, I'm not really I can fault her for it because she was supposed to lead her people and didn't. But she's a teenager, and it's all she's ever known, and it's not like she is, married to the king off some like random French nobility. Like, she is a direct daughter of the Holy Roman Emperor. Like, that is a big deal nobility.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, oh, some random Austrian noble. Like, this is a direct member of the immediate family of the Austrian noble families.
Right.
And so, like, at some point, I understand that. But I just think that it's not that she's stupid, and it's not that she couldn't understand the complexities of it. It's that her worldview does not allow her to care, in my opinion.
Well, and yes, I think that's a big part of it. I also just feel like she's not a political entity. Like, the only reason she comes to care about politics is to protect herself and her own life and her family. Like, I just think that she is happy and content being this princess, this queen, empress, and she has no interest in the everyday people other than, oh, those poor things. Like, she doesn't, and she's never had to care about her subjects. Like, when you come from a family that's wealthy enough to have 15 children, you're not hurting for anything. You don't know what it's like to be hungry. You don't know what it's like to not know where your next meal is coming from. You don't know what it's like to struggle. And so I just don't think she has any concept of, it's not that she doesn't have any concept of empathy. She just doesn't have any understanding of like poverty. And so she cannot relate to her subjects. And so I just feel like she's not interested or concerned with politics until it becomes too much for her to ignore.
Exactly. I agree. And like, this isn't like a direct comparison, but I very much am reminded of Nancy Reagan declaring a war on drugs while people die of AIDS on the Capitol doorstep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's about your priorities, I think, of like, okay, well, why are we talking about this thing when this other horrific thing is happening?
Right.
And regardless of whether or not, going back to the previous conversation of let them eat cake, it's, to us, we're so far removed from it that it doesn't really matter what we think about it. But if this saying was attributed to her later on, when it was still in memory, the fact that it became so, associated with her, and B, was believable, to me says, okay, well, yeah, she probably did at least act with somewhat of that kind of attitude. And so for me, it's really hard to believe that she was an assassin, or even at least an assassin ally, as the lore says, because it to me is like, well, why would she have cared?
Right.
Until it benefited her. So my question is, well, was she only an assassin ally so that the assassins would like help protect her son or help protect her when the revolution finally came for them?
I think, and I don't actually know much about King Louis, but I think that she knew these men as allies of her husband. And that's why she trusts them and helps them, because they were probably allies of Louis XVI.
Right, sure.
But yeah, I do think that she is just out of touch, and I just don't think that she would really care. And I think that this is an attempt to, like, Unity is very much an attempt of a game to, like, portray and put the Templars on the side of instigating a revolution.
Mm-hmm.
But like the assassins' allies with the French monarchy also doesn't make sense.
Right.
For their values.
It's a monarchy.
Right. And like the assassins are fine with just rulers who are kept in check. They don't really care. They're not really concerned with the governmental establishments that humans create, because again, like, nothing is true and everything is permitted. Like, they're not bound by these things themselves. So they don't really care what system of government governs the people, as long as those leaders are kept in check. Like, I don't think Bayek would really care if there's a king or an elective assembly, as long as the people weren't suffering.
Right. I think that's what it comes down to. And I think that's why nothing is true is contextual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, depends on whatever situation you're in as to what is the best course of action. Like, I think that all of the assassins would agree that, hey, yeah, it's probably better to have a monarchy that has checks and balances versus a Congress that's completely out of control and basically functioning as a dictatorship.
Yeah. You know, there's that line in Mel Gibson's The Patriot where he says, why should I trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away?
Yeah.
And his basic argument is a legislature can trample our rights just as easily as a king can, which is actually true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see it happen every day.
Exactly. And so, like, that's the kind of thing that they would get to of, like, no, we need checks and balances on this. Like, that's the crux of the Assassins and Templars, that they both see themselves as the checks and balance on the powers that rule the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just go back to France for a little bit. Marie Antoinette is definitely an interesting one, but like, I guess what I'm reflecting on is I just feel like it's so random that she is actually confirmed to be an assassin ally. But I guess that's just where we're at because they wanted to write a story with the French Revolution.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the French Revolution poses a lot of difficulty because, like, there's no clear good guy in this story because, like, it is the French Revolution for me is like a historical cautionary tale of what ignoring your people and letting the people's bloodlust go unchecked gets you to.
Yeah. And what happens when there are, you know, such a significant wealth disparity between the people and their rulers.
Exactly. And, like, I mean, Robespierre's reign, his quote-unquote reign, is called the Reign of Terror.
I know.
So, like, there's no clear good guy, and I think that makes it difficult when you're trying to write a story of these are the good guys and these are the bad guys.
Yeah, and I think that we were when Unity came out and when Unity was being written, like, we weren't at a place in society, pop culture, where like the grayness of storytelling was ever present. Like, we weren't quite there yet. I think if they remade this game, it might be a little bit more shades of gray than black and white.
Exactly. But yeah, any last thoughts about Marie Antoinette?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, then we can wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you, as always, Austin, for doing the research. These are some of my favorite episodes, so thanks again for bringing it. And thank you for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. If you have any lore questions, theories, or topics you'd like us to unpack, join our Cups Podcasting and More Discord server. It is the best place on the internet.
You can also support the show financially and ensure its continuation by becoming a patron at patreon.com/aclorecast. If you enjoyed the show or learned something new today, please subscribe, leave us a review, comment or rating, or join our Patreon.
The Assassin's Creed Lorecast is part of the Robots Radio Podcasting Network. If you enjoyed our show's intro or outro music, give a big shout out to Pipeman Studios.
And until next time, Assassins, and remember, stay in the shadows to serve the light.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
You want the One Piece lore?
then you can have it. I've left all of it here on the One Piece Lorecast. That's right, if you are looking for the One Piece lore, you have found it. Here on the One Piece Lorecast, we are going to be diving deep into everything that makes up the world of One Piece, from Devil Fruits to the Great Pirate Era. We are going to touch on it all. So if you want to know more about One Piece and you're looking for all the answers to the questions you didn't even know you had, this is the place for you. So check us out on Instagram at One Piece Lorecast. We're also on robotsradio.net as well as the Robots Radio Discord, and all our links can be found there. So thank you, and let's set sail.